Hey, welcome to Manila Updates TV. Please subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The air is thick with salt and tension, as if the ocean itself is holding its breath. Every gust of wind carries the weight of uncertainty, and every wave seems to echo the anxiety etched on the faces of the crew. Out here, far from the safety of the shore, the sea is both a lifeline and a battleground. On the distant horizon, a small convoy of Filipino supply boats pushes forward, braving the open sea. Their destination, the BRP Sierra Madre, a rusting World War II-era ship intentionally grounded on 2nd Thomas Shoal. For the Philippines, this battered vessel is more than just a ship. It is a symbol of national sovereignty, a lonely outpost asserting their claim in the West Philippine Sea. Suddenly, the calm is shattered as massive China Coast Guard ships loom into view, their white hulls gleaming and imposing. They move with calculated precision, forming a blockade that stretches across the water, a wall of steel and authority in these disputed waters. Horns blare, echoing across the waves, and engines roar as the Filipino crews, outnumbered and outgunned, hold their course. Their boats are dwarfed by the Chinese vessels, but their resolve is unwavering. Each crew member knows the risks, yet they press on, determined to complete their mission. They have a legal right to be here, recognized by international law. But in these tense moments, rights seem fragile against the overwhelming force arrayed before them. The balance of power is stark, and the threat is palpable. Without warning, a high-pressure water cannon erupts from a Chinese ship, sending a torrent of water crashing into a Filipino boat. The impact shatters windows, floods the deck, and sends the crew scrambling for cover. In an instant, a routine resupply mission becomes a life-threatening ordeal. This violent act is calculated to force a retreat, to intimidate, to send a message, without firing a single shot. The water cannon is a weapon of coercion, designed to break the will of those who dare to resist. These confrontations are no longer rare. They have become tragically common in one of the world's most critical and contested waterways, where every encounter carries the risk of escalation. The Filipino boats are unarmed, their mission purely humanitarian, delivering food, water, and supplies to their stranded soldiers. In stark contrast, the Chinese ships are heavily armed, enforcing Beijing's sweeping territorial claims with an iron fist. The risk of miscalculation is immense. A single mistake, a wrong turn, a misunderstood signal, could ignite a conflict that spirals far beyond these waters, drawing in regional powers and threatening global stability. Drenched, shaken, but unbroken, the Filipino crew eventually turns back. Their mission may have failed this time, but their defiance is unmistakable. They document every moment of harassment, file diplomatic protests, and vow to return, refusing to yield their ground. This is the front line of a 21st century standoff, a battle not just of ships, but of wills, of law versus raw power. Here the rules-based order is tested daily, and the outcome remains uncertain. The question at stake is far greater than a handful of shoals or reefs. It is about the future of the global order, about whether international law can stand up to the ambitions of powerful states. Will might make right, or will the principles of international law prevail? The answer will shape not only the fate of these waters, but the world's approach to conflict and cooperation in the years ahead. The world watches, breath held, as the standoff continues. Newsrooms buzz, analysts debate, and ordinary people wonder what tomorrow will bring. The stakes could not be higher. In these contested waters, the next chapter of history is being written. One wave, one confrontation, one act of courage at a time. The West Philippine Sea is not just a local dispute, it's a global crossroads, a vital artery connecting continents and economies. What happens here ripples far beyond the region, affecting nations and people across the world. Every year, 1/3 of all global shipping, worth trillions of dollars, passes through these strategic waters. From oil and gas to electronics and food, the lifeblood of modern civilization flows through this maritime highway, making it one of the most important trade routes on the planet. A conflict here would send shockwaves through the global economy. Supply chains would be disrupted, goods would become scarce, and prices could soar. The world could face shortages, economic instability, and even recession, as industries from manufacturing to technology grind to a halt. China's actions in these waters challenge the principle of freedom of navigation, a cornerstone of international order that ensures open seas for all. This principle is not just a legal technicality, it's what keeps global trade moving and prevents powerful nations from dominating the world's oceans. If Beijing gains control over this waterway, it sets a dangerous precedent. Other powerful nations might follow suit, threatening the stability of international waters everywhere and undermining the rules that keep the seas open and free. For the Philippines, this is about more than geopolitics. It's about survival. Millions of Filipinos depend on these waters for their daily food, their livelihoods, and the promise of future energy resources. The stakes are deeply personal and national. Despite overwhelming odds and the shadow of a superpower, the Philippines stands firm, defending its rights and its people with courage and resilience. China now commands the world's largest navy, projecting power across the region. Yet despite its overwhelming advantage, it stops short of open war, choosing instead to flex its muscles and intimidate. It bullies, harasses, and blocks, but does not pull the trigger. The standoff is tense, but so far it has not erupted into full-scale conflict. Why does a superpower with such overwhelming advantage hesitate to use force? What calculations are being made behind closed doors in Beijing? The answer reveals the true nature of power in our interconnected world. Military might is only one part of the equation. Global reputation, economic ties, and international law all play crucial roles in shaping decisions. The standoff is about more than territory or resources. It's about the rules that govern us all, the fragile order that keeps peace and prosperity possible in a complex, connected world. The West Philippine Sea standoff isn't just China versus the Philippines. There's a third player, the United States. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty binds the US and the Philippines to defend each other if attacked. Washington has made clear, an armed attack on Philippine forces in the South China Sea will trigger US commitments. American warships regularly challenge China's claims, sending a powerful message. Joint military exercises and expanded US access to Philippine bases strengthen this alliance. This security umbrella fundamentally changes China's calculations. An attack on the Philippines risks war with the world's most powerful military. The potential costs are simply too high for Beijing. The treaty acts as a powerful brake on Chinese aggression. In today's world, direct war is often seen as too costly and unpredictable, especially between major powers. So, instead of open conflict, China operates in what's called the gray zone, a murky area that exists between peace and outright war. Here, actions are aggressive but carefully calibrated to avoid triggering a full-scale military response. Rather than deploying its navy, China relies on its coast guard and a vast maritime militia, civilian boats that act in coordination with the state. These vessels swarm, harass, and blockade Filipino ships, making it difficult for the Philippines to assert its own claims in the disputed waters. The tactics are varied and relentless. Water cannons drench supply boats, ramming incidents damage hulls, and even green lasers are used to temporarily blind and intimidate crews. Each act is aggressive, but carefully stops short of what would be considered an act of war. Over time, these constant confrontations wear down the resolve of Philippine sailors. Fatigue sets in, and the presence of Chinese ships becomes a new normal, gradually shifting the balance of power at sea. The ultimate goal is to create a new reality, inch by inch. China advances slowly, pushing boundaries without ever crossing the line that would trigger the Mutual Defense Treaty with the United States. The Philippines is left in a difficult position, forced to document every incident, file diplomatic protests, and gather evidence, but unable to respond with force without risking escalation. This is a war of attrition, but not one fought with bullets or missiles. Instead, it's a battle of endurance, pressure, and psychological tactics, where numbers and persistence matter more than firepower. It's a long game, played out over weeks, months, and even years. The aim is to win control and influence without ever firing a shot in anger. Around the world, people watch this contest unfold, a test of nerves, patience, and strategy, rather than sheer military might. The outcome of this shadow conflict will shape not just the South China Sea, but the future of the entire region for generations to come. Beyond military deterrence, China faces another constraint: its own economy. China's prosperity depends on global trade and stability. A war would devastate markets and trigger sanctions. Its energy imports pass through these very waters. Conflict would choke its own lifeline. The threat of economic collapse and social unrest is real. The Communist Party's legitimacy rests on delivering prosperity, not war. Nationalist pride is no substitute for economic survival. Beijing must appear strong, but cannot risk unraveling its own success. Power today is measured in influence and reputation, not just military might. In 2016, the Philippines won a landmark legal victory at The Hague, invalidating China's sweeping claims. China's rejection of the ruling undermines its global image and isolates it diplomatically. Its actions have pushed neighbors closer to the US and each other, forming a united front. China invests in soft power, but images of bullying at sea damage its reputation. The desire to be seen as a respected power, not a bully, restrains Beijing's behavior. Legitimacy on the world stage is a powerful check. The Philippines has adopted a David-like strategy: courage, transparency, and smart diplomacy. By embedding journalists and releasing footage of Chinese aggression, every incident becomes global news. This assertive transparency wins sympathy and puts pressure on China. Manila strengthens alliances with the US, Australia, Japan, and Europe, building a multilateral front. Filipino crews show professionalism and restraint, refusing to escalate. Their calm, lawful conduct contrasts sharply with China's aggression. This resilience, combined with global support, forms the core of the Filipino playbook. Defiance, not force, is their most effective weapon. The West Philippine Sea is a dangerous, carefully choreographed dance. Both sides push limits, but avoid the misstep that could spark war. China uses non-lethal force, water cannons, lasers, stopping just short of armed attack. The Philippines documents, protests, and persists, never taking the bait. Journalists on board signal transparency, not aggression. Each side calibrates its actions to avoid escalation, but the risk of miscalculation grows. A single accident could shatter this fragile balance. The world watches as both sides walk a tightrope over conflict. The rope frays with every new confrontation. The stakes are nothing less than peace in the region. Why has China, with all its might, avoided war? Because the true cost of victory is too high. Military, economic, and diplomatic risks far outweigh any gain from seizing reefs. A conflict could trigger war with the US, economic collapse, and global isolation. Restraint is not weakness. It's rational calculation. In today's world, power is measured in alliances, law, and reputation, as much as in fleets. The Philippines has leveraged these to stand up to a superpower. The real lesson to true power lies in knowing when not to fight. The future of the global order may depend on who best understands this.